This program contains movie spoilers. Viewers are advised to proceed on their own discretion.
Before we begin, I would like to express my heartfelt condolences to family, friends and fans of Sushant Singh Rajput. He left us too early. He left us high and dry. He left us with this impasse sense whether things would have turned out to be way too different if he was here. He left us with the nagging, lingering, looming incompletion of what he would have said when people highly commended his screen presence in his ultimate swan song, Dil Bechara. Would he have spoken in the middle of his own eulogy like in the movie? Would we have also said what the character JP said in the movie? Tum to mar chuke ho, kahe beech mein bol rahe ho. My thoughts and prayers go out, Sushant Singh Rajput. May your soul rest in peace. However, the earth goes round and round, and here we are. Welcome to I Like to Movie It. Let's read between the lines of Dil Bechara, the Desi version of The Fault in Our Stars, and find out what exactly is better in Dil Bechara. A different kind of movie review, a different kind of top 10 list for you.
एक था राजा, एक थी रानी, दोनों मर गए, खत्म कहानी.
Dil Bechara is a Bollywood reintroduction of the book The Fault in Our Stars by John Green and an official remake of the 2014 Hollywood movie of the same name. The plotline of the movie is fairly simple, which, without irony, has been right there in the trailer of the movie. Ik tha raja, ik thi rani, dono mar gaye, khatam kahani. Kisi Basu, played by Sanjana Sanghi, is a thyroid cancer patient who enjoys little things in life. During a cancer counseling session, he meets Emmanuel Rajkumar Jr. or Manny, played by the late Sushant Singh Rajput, who himself has osteosarcoma, because of which his right leg has already been sawed off. Manny's upbeat attitude and Kizzy's down-to-earth approach to life are in sharp contrast with each other, but with instigating elements like music of Abhimanyu Veer, played by the guest star Saif Ali Khan, and Rajnikant's movies, they bond and fall in love. The movie then follows the highs and lows, connections and tragedies brought about by various forms of cancer and leads to an imminent tragic end, which has to be taken with a pinch of salt. What I appreciate about this movie is how honestly it sticks to its source material and yet sprouts branches and branches of other verticals that could address the South Asian audience. Since Dil Bechara has gotten a chance to rethink and redo what has already been done, it is conspicuously better. It is thus evident for this critic to draw parallels between Josh Boone's The Fault in Our Stars and debutant Mukesh Chhabra's Dil Bechara. So here are 10 things better in Dil Bechara compared to The Fault in Our Stars. Mind you, there are lots of spoilers from both movies. Number 10. Dil Bechara tells a more human story than The Fault in Our Stars. Kizzy's character tries to accept the ultimate truth by randomly attending funerals, giving out random hugs and condolences. I do have to be the devil's advocate here. The book, and then the 2014 movie, and then Dil Bechara, all of them have used a blatant tragedy by using one of world's enigmatic diseases, cancer. Of course, they would jerk tears. But here in Dil Bechara, it's not just about cancer, but Kizzy trying to find her own solace, her own denouement. Even the pushing oxygen trolley becomes a Punjabi Pushpinder. Cheesy, yes. Better, definitely. Having a setting at Jamshedpur, having a Bengali girl born and named in Zambia, a boy of mixed lineage, a Bhojpuri film-loving friend, featuring Rajnikant's films from the south, having religious inclusion of Christianity, using the Indian canvas to bring all these color palettes has helped Dil Bechara better than Fault. While The Fault in Our Stars was whitewashed, nothing wrong with that. I don't know why Netflix-induced taboo exists. Dil Bechara's setting has definitely helped make it more dynamic. Rajput's Manny character gets a solid passion, the Thalaiva Rajnikant. This trait has helped develop his character immensely. In The Fault in Our Stars, the male protagonist, Augustus Waters, merely mentions, "Yeah, I used to play." But this plot device hasn't been explored or exploited. Comparatively, having Manny's character indulge in Rajnikant's movies has shaped his character, giving it more depth, making him more grounded. Talking about movies, at number 7 we have Shahid Vaid's JP character's wish to make a Bhojpuri movie. While this B story does not seem relevant at first, its connection to JP losing his eye to glaucoma but still finishing his final product and then converging to the main plotline towards the end is more pertinent than what meets the eye. Also, it has helped blossom the romance between the protagonists more, added some musical interludes in between, and even though it could have worked out fine without, It has worked as a secondary wheel, which was otherwise missing in The Fault in Our Stars. At number 6, we have the simplification of Abhimanyu Veer's character. In The Fault in Our Stars, there is this unnecessarily uncomfortable and unjustified scene where the character of Peter Van Houten attends Gus's funeral. That scene had not settled down with me. A man's arrogance cannot be relinquished that easy to attend a funeral miles and miles away from home. While watching Dil Bechara, I was waiting for Abhimanyu Veer, played by Saif Ali Khan, to do the same. But happily, the entire scene, the entire sequence was effectively removed. Dil Bechara earns some additional brownie points for not having that particular scene. I admire the makers for simplifying that role. At number 5, A.R. Rahman. I don't think I even need to go to the longitudes and latitudes of how Dil Bechara's film score is better. Picture this. You give A.R. Rahman to remaster the soundtrack for The Fault in Our Stars and he will make it awesome. There. Done. Kizzy's father's character, played by Saswata Chatterjee, gets more character development than his Fault counterpart, played by Sam Trammell. While watching The Fault in Our Stars, I felt that the girl Hazel Grace's father was shallow and his impending decision did not help shape the protagonist's character at all. This is not the case in Dil Bechara. He is more out there, involved intricately to shape the plot. This father-daughter relation gives ample breathing space to establishing equilibrium with mother-daughter relation. I hold screenplay writers Shashank Khaitan and Supratim Sengupta in high regard. Job well done. At number 3, I would like to mention JP or Jagdish Pandey once again and draw simple parallels between him and his Fault counterpart Isaac, played by Nat Wolff. JP's character has more layers than Isaac's. He is making a movie with the protagonist as the lead, actively involved in the friendship, more devastated by his breakup and takes immediate action to it. Yes, the egging scene involving Isaac in Fault in Our Stars is much better than in Dil Bechara. 1 point goes to Fault for that. But the placement of that very scene is specifically effective and practical in Dil Bechara. Sushant Singh Rajput, his acting, his character mani, his attitude and of course his memory. As an admirer, I'm glad to put him at number 2. While Ansel Elgort's Gus is charming as an 18-year-old boy, his teenage attitude came off arrogantly. Rajput's mani, however, looks, feels and behaves with much more dynamics. He is more passionate about his passion, more affectionate towards his affection, and more dynamically shaped compared to Augustus Waters. As a critic, it is always difficult to choose or replace an actor with another and give a fair insight as to how could have the movie turned out to be. But it is not even the same battlefield here. Sushant Singh Rajput was a better actor. At number 1, you must have guessed it already, is Kizzy Basu, who stands miles apart from her Fault counterpart Hazel Grace Lancaster, played by Shailene Woodley. Actress Sanjana Sanghi's effortless acting, easy to the ears narration, well-fleshed character arc that properly escalates and descalates, and her screen presence, they are easily much better than Shailene Woodley's. Even though both of these movies follow the exact same source, there is a space apart character portrayal between Kizzy and Hazel. Kizzy is soft, Hazel comes out hard. Kizzy takes calculated measures, Hazel takes leaps of faith. Kizzy distributes her soldier's weight, Hazel carries it solely. These minute changes aren't subtle and they do tip the scale more towards Dil Bechara. Today, I'm not going to give out any stars to rate Dil Bechara out of respect and as my second obituary to Sushant Singh Rajput. I will just leave you with a note. If you are concerned about Bollywood's future, if you believe that art and creativity cannot flow through blood and needs to manifest out of an individual's pure passion and determination, and if you believe that there are other Sushant Singh Rajputs out there trying to make it big and bigger, forget cynicism and criticism. Just admire as a great artist closes his final curtain.